What's going on, Reefers? Blaine here. In today's video, we are hanging out in the studio, and I've seen it in past videos on YouTube. I've seen it from big corporations, from small groups of individuals that have gone through different scenarios, situations in the saltwater hobby and trying to do some reef busting, figuring out myths, trying to figure out what's going on in our tanks. And today we're going to be introducing a brand new series here on the channel at Top Shelf Aquatics, Reef or Fiction. We're going to be breaking down what is the best possible way to break in your skimmer as fast and efficiently as possible. We're going to have 4 different things we're going to be breaking down. We'll have a control, 3 different theories of how you can break in your skimmer quickly. Let's go ahead and get to the unboxing. Let's get everything out and let's start setting things up. Today we're going to be talking about a theory that has floated around on the forums and in the hobby for some time now. The question at hand is there a way to break in a skimmer faster, or should you just run it directly out of the box? The idea is that after the skimmer is manufactured and during that process there is residual oils that are on the plastics, and when you go to run your skimmer, due to those oils coating the inside of your skimmer and the outside, it'll take longer for the unit to break in and to build up a good skim. So with that idea in mind, we're going to test out a few theories and see if we can possibly do a quicker way to break in your skimmer, utilizing acid, vinegar, and soap. All right, we've got all the tanks unboxed. Now let's go ahead and unbox the K100 Ice Cap protein skimmer. Let's take a closer look at this protein skimmer, see what we're working with. Let's check out the K100. So the Ice Cap K100 is going to be the skimmer that we're going to utilize in today's experiment. The Ice Cap K100 is a small, compact skimmer with a nice tiny footprint to be able to utilize in a sump space down below. The Ice Cap K100 is rated for tanks from 40 to 80 gallons and is built with a robust PVC and high quality acrylic to help make these long lasting and high quality. They're easy to disassemble and to put back together during any cleanings, and the recommended water height is anywhere from 6 to 8 inches during operation. We wanted to try and get right in the middle of that kind of range, so today we're going to be utilizing a 7.5 inch water depth. These come with a 1-year warranty on the date of purchase, and the footprint dimensions of this skimmer are going to be the following: 4.5 inches by 7.5 inches and a total height of 19 inches. So we're going to go over to the 3 different styles of tests that we're going to be running, and obviously the 4th one is going to be our control, so that way we can understand whether or not just doing the basic toss in a skimmer into your salt water and let it run is the best way to go ahead and break it in. But let's talk about the 3 different theories that we're going to utilize during this experiment. So the first one is we're going to do a muriatic acid dip. I'll break down the skimmer, I'll get it inside the tank, we'll end up doing a bath of it for a 12-hour period or so. After we wash it off, we'll go ahead and let it air dry, and then once it's air dried out, we'll put it into the tank with the salt water, and we'll see if that helps it break in nice and quickly. The next one on our list is going to be the white vinegar and RODI mix. So this is going to be a 50-50 blend that we're going to mix together. We're going to have RODI and white vinegar do the same exact thing we did with the muriatic acid, and then once it's ready to roll, it's all dried off, we'll get it into the experiment as well. The third one we're going to be talking about, our last theory, is going to be a Dawn soap wash down. We'll scrub it nice and clean, we'll wash it down, we'll let it air dry like the rest of the units, and after it's all dried out, we'll get it into the experiment. We're gonna have the 4th though as our control, and it's important in any experiment to have your control. So let's get right into it. Let's go ahead and get the muriatic acid bath ready to go, the RODI vinegar bath ready to go. Let's wash down this skimmer with our Dawn soap, and let's get this experiment underway. All right, we've got our vinegar bath all set up. We want to make sure we get this bucket nice and cleaned out before we go into our next subject. What we're going to be talking about though is the muriatic acid bath. Obviously, I've got gloves, I've got glasses. We want to make sure we wear our PPE anytime we're handling this. What I'm going to show you guys though is we're going to do about 3 to 4 gallons, and per every gallon, we're going to put about 1/4 of a cup into this mixture. I didn't mention it earlier, but obviously you're not doing a full-on muriatic acid bath. you're gonna be cutting it down with RODI as well. So let's go ahead and mix up our little bath and let's get it over onto the skimmer. All right, we've gotten all of the bass set up. We've got our third skimmer soaked down with Dawn. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna allow these two to soak. We're gonna get this one drying off. But I did wanna mention to you all at home, I know that muriatic acid isn't something we all readily have at home and we can utilize in a situation like this. What I'm gonna recommend to every single one of you though is C-Shape Pump Clean. This could be a great alternative that we sell on our website that you can actually grab right now. If you're looking to do this, obviously we haven't done the experiment yet. We don't know if that's gonna be the best situation to break in your skimmer, but I wanted to let you know you have an option on the market with C-Shape Pump Clean to do exactly what the muriatic acid is doing in this bath currently, and you can do it at home. Now let's let these two soak overnight. We'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll wash them off, and then we'll let every single skimmer dry over the course of a day or so, and then we'll get into our experiment. All right, everyone, it's the next morning, been over just 12 hours. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get all of these skimmers cleaned off that have been in their bath overnight. We're gonna get everything washed down. We're gonna get them sitting in the tanks. We'll have them dry overnight, and then we'll come back to you guys. We'll get everything started up, and we'll get this experiment going. Let's get everything cleaned up. And like that, we've got all of our skimmers all cleaned up and ready to go for the experiment. We're gonna allow them to dry off, do a little bit of air drying. Then we're gonna get some salt water from over in the farm. We'll get this experiment rolling, and then we'll let you guys know whether this is reef or fiction. Let's get into it. All right, we are in the farm now. We're gonna start grabbing our water that we're gonna use in the experiment. We ended up going with the water in the invert system. This is some of the dirtiest water we have currently in the farm. We did a lot of water changes earlier on in the week. So what we're gonna be doing now is grab all the water. We're gonna get around 30 to 40 gallons, take it back over to the studio. We'll fill up the tanks, and then we're gonna get those skimmers online. All right, reefers, the time is now. We're gonna get this experiment underway. I wanted to remind you all again, all the 4 different situations we have here. So we have the muriatic acid bath that went through for the overnight bath. We've got the RODI and vinegar bath that happened as well. We've got the Dawn soap wash down, and then over here on my left and your right is gonna be the control skimmer. So we've gotten our water from the invert system over at the farm. The time's now, we've got everything cleaned up, ready to go. Let's flip the switch and let's get this experiment underway. The moment of truth. And we're all on. Let's see how this thing goes. All right, it's been a couple hours now that we've gotten this experiment underway, and I wanted to drop a couple notes off for you guys as what's been going on since we got this all started off and we kicked these skimmers online. Right off the start, I did notice that the muriatic acid bath formed the least amount of micro bubbles when it started to kick on and really start rolling. When it came to how fast the skimmer really got to almost quote unquote breaking in, it seemed like the control actually did the best on working its way up the neck and starting to actually skim. When it came to the amount of bubbles and the biggest kind of skim bubbles that were showing was mainly the Dawn soap wash down. I'm hoping that it wasn't any residue soap that was in the pump. I did run them through some water and make sure they were nice and clean. But overall though, we were kind of shocked to see that muriatic acid, minimal amount of bubbles, but overall, seems like the control's definitely showcasing that just getting the skimmer directly in and starting it right off the start may be the best way to go. We're gonna let these run overnight. We're gonna come back to you guys in the morning. We're gonna get an update of what's happened overnight, see how the skimmers look, see how they're skimming, and we'll see if we can figure out whether or not this is reef or fiction. All right, reefers, we are back the next day here in the studio, hanging out, checking out what's been going on with the skimmers overnight. I will tell you guys real quick, overnight, the Dawn skimmer ended up overflowing. I ended up dialing it back as soon as I got in here this morning because it was just spraying bubbles everywhere. But this one definitely was skimming a little too hard. And I think overall, the Dawn soap washdown was just a little bit too clean. And yet again, like a couple people have mentioned that have come through the studio, there's a potential that maybe there was a tiny bit of residue of soap and maybe that what's really kicked off all those suds really off the start. But overall though, when it comes to the experiment, whether we really figured out if it was reef or fiction on whether or not you can break in your skimmer quicker, there may be other options out there in the hobby of how you can try to break in your skimmer. But with the 3 different theories we tested out and showing off the control here today, it kind of shows that just putting your skimmer directly into the system and letting it do its thing is probably the best way to go. This is definitely skimming the best. There's actually a little bit of skim mate that's left over in the skimmer cup. I will say though, the muriatic acid overall had the least amount of micro bubbles. So if that's something that concerns you, getting micro bubbles into the display tank overall, I think maybe a muriatic acid bath could be potentially really good for it. It is still skimming pretty good. We're not potentially getting any skim mate now, but as it gets a little bit more tuned in and it breaks in a little bit further, this may be a great option as well. When it comes to using acids or soaps or doing any kind of overnight bath with your skimmers to break them in quicker, we believe this is fiction. If you guys enjoyed this series, I want to know down in the comments below if you guys have any other reef myths you want us to test out, any other fictions you may believe are going on in the reefing hobby today. I want to hear down in the comments below what other kind of theories and things we can test out here in the studio. If you guys enjoyed this one, and if you hung out all the way till the end, I want to say thank you so much. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on any future uploads.